All right, get out your homework.
I'm really good because I didn't do it twice. Because I left my homework at home.
I didn't do my
I'm
homework.
really good at it. I mean,
Sorry.
Who's absent today?
No, I am.
Here, I want to tell you.
Maybe I'm an AI.
That's right, you're not human.
That's a good fact. I have all the best ones in the world.
why is that? Why am I talking about that now?
So, where am I? I need to add you. You're somewhere in here.
All right, here we go. Questions on the homework? Yes.
24.
Let's take a look at 2-4, 24. Landon claims the answer is open circle 4/5 shade left. Yes? Oh, all right.
I bet I have a perfect secret. I bet. I doubt you do.
All right.
Really bet.
Quiet, please, so I can go over this. So 24 says 5 over 6G. Somebody else read me the rest. I dropped my book.
I'm getting it.
Not 24?
No, it's like 16 over 4 is 7.
16 over 4 minus 2.
One more time. What is it?
16 over 4 is greater than 7n minus 2n over
7n.
minus 2n over 5.
Well, 16 over 4 is just 4.
Is
All right.
this it?
What's 7n minus 2n? So that 4 is greater than 5n over 5. What's 5 divided by 5? So 4 is bigger than n. So Landon was way off. So I guess we can't say that you're going to get them all right now.
Oh no, I bet.
You just got this one wrong.
Yes.
I was on the wrong page. All right. Anybody else? All right, here we go. 2 to 26 even. All right, number 2. I'm just going to say open, close circle, shade left, shade right. Open circle, -27, shade left. Number 4, close circle, 98, shade right. 6, open circle, 5, shade right. You catching on? Okay. Number 8, close circle, 20, shade left. Number 10, open circle, -7, shade right. 12, open circle, 6, shade right. 14, open circle, -3, shade right. 16, closed circle, 7, shade right. 7. Number 18, closed circle, 36, shade right. 20, open circle, -60, shade right. 22, closed circle, -36, shade left. 24 we just did, so open circle, 4, shade left. 26, the last one, closed circle, 16.27, shade right. And that's it. All right, Grayson, you know the drill. Everybody else, well, he's passing out and collecting you guys. Let's see, chapter 5. Hey, this is it. This is the end of the chapter today, right? We'll do a chapter review on Friday, and we'll take a test on Monday. There's your homework.
Oh shoot.
I know, I forgot.
Wait, is this today?
This is today. 5-7, last section of the book on solving equations, and then we'll move on to other fun stuff. And then,
Is it just 2 steps?
and multiple steps. 2 steps and multiple steps today. Tomorrow. Okay. What does that have to do with Friday?
Why couldn't you do it on Monday?
So what are we going to do tomorrow?
We worksheet talk about casseroles. Yeah. Yeah, talk about casseroles. That's what.
What's your favorite casserole?
The sweet potato, marshmallows, and green beans.
What's the definition of a casserole?
Something that's like you can cook in a pan.
I think you're right on that.
How about sausage, corn on the cob, potato?
I don't know if it's just vegetables. I'm not sure if well, I guess no, my wife makes this thing with cheese and mixed vegetables.
No,
She calls it casserole.
on Thanksgiving.
For sure.
Cranberry.
All right, we got over a month to Thanksgiving. I think we're at 4 weeks to go until Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
breaks.
Yeah, I think it's 4 or 5.
After this week, it's 4 weeks. All right, so quick speech here. So a number of you did poorly on the quiz, right? Only one person showed up for a retake. My claim was that sometimes some people do a little bit better on the test because they get to see, we get to solve more equations, they get more comfortable with it, except we're solving inequalities today, right? And that generally happens for not everyone that does poorly, but maybe, I don't know, I'm making these numbers up around half-ish, something like that. It's certainly a percentage. There's other ones that just stay clueless the entire, and then it really turns poorly. So if you're one of those clueless persons, well, we got today after school, well, technically we got tomorrow in class, and then that's it, the weekend, and then you're taking the test on Monday. So we're kind of running out of time very quickly for you to get any assistance on how to solve equations. So if today, right, you actually have an aha moment because you paid attention, good on you. But if you're sitting there right now saying, yep, I know I'm really weak on this solving equations stuff, and you don't participate, Jenna, close the door for me, please. You don't participate and try to answer the questions that I asked before I say the answers, you're not doing your job. Okay? You can come up with, oh, I know what to do, add 2 to both sides, and then I say, oh, the answer is add 2 to both sides, then you're where you need to be. So let's see how this works. Oh, it's on freeze. All right, here we go. So it's a solve inequalities by several transformations, so multiple step inequalities. All right, the only difference between inequality land and equality land are 2. Number 1, if you ever multiply or divide by a negative number, you must flip the inequality. And the second one is that we will graph our answers for inequalities. That is the only difference now between solving equations and solving inequalities. So here's a multiple step inequality. It looks exactly like the ones where it would be equations, except it's got an inequality. So with the exception of those 2 things, 1, we ever multiply or divide by a negative number, we're going to flip the inequality. And then 2, we're going to graph our answers. It's done the same way. So on Monday, when you take your test on solving equations and inequalities, well, today is a good practice for that. As long as you bear in mind the fact that on equations, you do not flip, well, there's no sign. If you flip an equal sign, guess what happens? It's still an equal sign, right? Even if you flipped it around. So I guess you could flip it. But yeah, we don't flip the inequalities, and we do not graph the answers to equations. Why? Because at least this year we only got one answer, x equals 3. If you remember, this is where we stopped when we solved equations. These were all the steps, okay? So we simplify each side. Left side we simplify right side. Done, right? If there's a distributive property, we do distributive property. If there's terms to combine, we combine them. Once we're done with that, we'll have variables on both sides. We always move the smaller of the two to make our life easier. Then it's a two-step equation, so we get rid of addition, subtraction next, right? We get to our answer, but because we're in inequality land, we get this one extra step of we have to graph our answer. So with the exception of this last step, the steps look exactly like how you solve an equation. Simplify both sides. Move variables if necessary. Solve a two-step equation. Okay? So let's do some. All right. Remember, the only but here is the fact that if you ever multiply or divide by a negative number, you got to flip the inequality. All right. So we'll start off with a nice, easy two-step inequality. Priscilla, where's the variable? Left or right? So I'm looking at just the left side. There's no variables on both sides. So I don't have this first step of solve or simplify the left side, simplify the right side. So are you going to move the 2 or are you going to get, I'm sorry, are you going to get rid of the 2 or are you going to get rid of the 3? I'm going to get rid of the 3 because once you have it down to a two-step, my recommendation is always get rid of addition and subtraction next. So how do we get rid of the 3? Okay, so she's playing Jeopardy now. She's giving the answers in the form of a question, but she is correct. All right, go. You've done enough of these, Priscilla. You got this. Obviously, we still have the issue of the fact that we'll have positive and negatives floating around, so you can still screw this up royally if you don't know your rules. And like I said, you know, 8th grade is where we kind of figure this out. Right? Same or different signs? Add or subtract. So subtract 5 minus 3 is more negatives, more positives. So you can still screw this up by getting to the wrong answer. I will not take care of you in the sense of, oh, you're guaranteed to get an A if you screw this up. But I will take care of you if you show me you're doing the right steps. Right? I will not take care of you if you, instead of getting rid of the 3, you get rid of the 5 first. That would be ridiculous. Now you're showing me you don't know what you're doing. Okay? Priscilla, how's the 2 attached to y? So we're going to both sides by 2. Negative divided by a positive is a, but be careful, inequality land, did we just divide by a positive or negative number? If you're doing this very quickly, you'll forget, oh, I just divided by a negative. I got to flip the inequality. Notice our answer is negative, but we didn't divide by negative, so I don't flip the inequality. Negative 2 divided by 2 is?
Negative
1. Okay, notice I did not flip the inequality. The 2's cancel on the left side. It's an inequality, so we have to graph the solution. Closed circle, -1, shade
Left.
Shade left. Closed circle, -1, shade left. Cool? Two-step inequality. All right, another one. Like I said, for those of you that are weak on this, you should be looking at it right now, figuring out what you're going to do first. I'll tell you what to do. Try to get to the what I'm supposed to do first. Concentrate on that. We'll concentrate on what the answer is as a secondary, but you've got to know the right steps. All right. Angie, what are we going to do first? Get rid of the -5 or get rid of the -9? -9. We get rid of -9 by adding 9 to both sides. Well, that's easy. 9 plus 11 is 20. Now we're going to get rid of the, how we get rid of -5? So I'm going to divide both sides by, did you just divide by a negative or a positive? So I must do what? I got to flip that inequality. I would recommend as soon as you either multiply or divide by negative, go ahead and flip the inequality and have it sitting there waiting for you to put the right answer. Right? That way you won't forget to flip the inequality. The -5's cancel. Positive divided by a negative is a negative. 20 divided by -5 is -4. So I flip the inequality. I get -4. Open circle, -4, shade left. Open circle, -4, shade left. Okay? All right. See if you can do box 2 all by yourself.
Can you pass me
Just remember, that's for multiplication, not the same rules for addition and subtraction.
This one you're beat up.
Thank you.
What's up?
I forgot. How do you do? I just like one key over here.
You move the smaller one too. That's what this
Oh yeah,
says
you
right
right
there.
there. Yeah, you subtract.
If it's positive, you subtract. If it's negative, you add. Distributive problem. Distributive problem. Negative 22 minus 11. Well, we combine the 22 and the 4. Because they're on the right side. Oh, it's negative 22. Right? So group those together. Negative 22 and 4 is on camera. Negative 18. Sign subtract. Yeah. Correct. So you get negative 22. So I would write what you just did so you can visually look at it instead of trying to do the whole thing in your head. So erase what you got. So what are you doing to both sides? What are we getting rid of? The 8 or the 16? So what are you doing to both sides? If you don't get her subtract 16 by subtracting. Add 16. That's the opposite of minus 16. The opposite is add 16. So add 16 both sides. Both sides. 16. Now, same as inside. So we're going to add or subtract. Correct the number. We'll make it more positive. Negative 8. Equals negative 8. Yeah. Add 18 more. All right, first one, let's see. I got a negative 6 or a positive 3. I'm going to get rid of the positive 3 first. Get rid of positive 3, subtract 3, both sides. That one's easy. 15 minus 3 is 12. Now I get rid of the negative 6, so I?
Divide by negative.
Did you just divide by negative?
Yes.
So you got to flip the inequality. I would flip it right now so you don't make a mistake. The negative 6 cancel, right? I'm going to flip that inequality. 12 divided by negative 6 is negative 2. Open circle, negative 2, shade. Shade to the right. The solutions are bigger than negative 2. Where the number is bigger than negative 2, to the right. This one right here, this is the one that will cause problems. I always take my hand and I cover up everything but the thing I'm trying to get rid of. Because the issue is when you look at it, you see that plus and you really want to subtract. By the way, that's what you're supposed to do. But the issue is we're not subtracting 16, we're subtracting negative 16. If you subtract negative 16, two negatives make a, so you're really adding 16. Or, that's one way of thinking about it, you just cover up everything but the number you're trying to get rid of. I'm trying to get rid of negative 16, therefore we add 16 to both sides. Either explanation is mathematically correct. Hey, opposite signs means big minus small gives me
Negative
8, and there's more negatives than positives, so negative 8. Okay? Therefore, to get rid of this 8, we're not dividing by negatives, so I don't flip the inequality. So I get t is less than negative 1. Open circle, negative 1, shade.
left.
Okay?
Yeah.
So there's 2 steps. Right? No big deal. Okay, 2 steps. I don't know why that keeps blinking. 2 steps. As a reminder, the distributive property, I highly, 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 highly recommend that you use arrows. Draw your first set of arrow and do that multiplication. 2 times x is
2x.
Notice I didn't draw both arrows because I don't know, he said something about drawing arrows, so I drew arrows. The arrows are supposed to show you what 2 things you're multiplying. I'm coming from the 2 to the x, 2 times x. When I draw that second arrow, I'm going from the 2 to not to the 3, but 2 to the negative 3. 2 times negative 3, negative 6. That's the distributive property. Okay. If you make a mistake, it's because I'm not distributing a 2 this time. I'm distributing a first arrow. What 2 things am I multiplying? Negative 2 times negative 4, and negative times a negative is a. Okay, so we get positive 8. For those of you who just said 4. All right, and then a negative 2 times, which would give us, negative times a negative is a, so a positive 2x. Yes? You're not giving me much confidence in your distributive properties here. All right. Now, one quick note. We're in inequality land. Did I just multiply -2 times both sides of an equation? Or did I just multiply -2 times one thing on one side? Notice, oh, there's no equation here. Well, imagine if there was. If this said equals 8. Did I just multiply -2 times both sides? Right. So when you're just multiplying by a negative or dividing by one side, we don't flip any inequality. Okay? No inequality needs to be flipped when you do the distributive property. So notice up here, this is as messy as it gets. Okay? We got variables on one side. So if this is a distributive property, we do the distributive property. Let's do the distributive property. 3 times t.
3.
3 what?
3t.
3 times +1.
3.
Plus 3. Now I haven't done anything with the -4t, so I write everything that's left. Now we look at each side. We've done the distributive property. Is there anything to group on the right side? Anything to group on the left side?
Yes.
3t and -4t. If you need to write that off to the side and look at it, do that. What is 3t minus 4t? Not 1t. If you have $3 in your pocket and I reach in your pocket and grab 4, well, hopefully that can't happen, but right? But technically you have -$1 now in your pocket, right? So 3 minus 4 is -1. So I get 3. I should have made that a different number than 3. 3 minus 4t turns into -1t. I just choose not to write the -1. Everybody okay? All right. Once again, I'm going to cover up everything but what I want to get rid of. I want to get rid of that 3. How do I get rid of that 3? I mean, add 3 to 3, it's 6. I didn't get rid of it. So I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. Okay? Well, if I subtract 3 from both sides, it's not 8, it's -8. But remember, there's always this hidden 1 right there. So I'm not done. So how do you get rid of that hidden 1 right there? Oops, I didn't show it. You can either, my math teacher said, either multiply both sides by -1 or divide both sides. Either one's fine. Some people don't even do that. They say, if I see a negative on both sides, I'm just going to flip everything around. The issue is in inequality land, you really are multiplying or dividing by -1. So you have to flip the inequality. I just decided to divide by -1 or multiply.
If t is less than or
Close circle 8 shade.
Right. No.
shade left.
Yeah.
The numbers that are smaller than 8 are to the left of 8. The shade left. Who's lost? Okay. All right, one more. Am I distributing the 5 or am I distributing the -2?
Negative.
Okay, one arrow at a time. First arrow. Okay. If you want to, you can write the stuff that you're not messing with first and then do the distributive property, or do the distributive property first and then write that. I find that if I do distributive property first, sometimes I forget about the other stuff. Okay, that's why I wrote it there first. Okay, first arrow gives me.
No, negative.
You're pretty good on your 2 times 4 there, Grayson. That's.
I was looking at the 4.
I know. Just make sure you don't do that on the test or quiz. Okay. -2 times +7. See, as long as it's not a 2 and a 4, you get it right every time. All right, -14. All right, is there anything to group on the left side? Anything to group on the right side? Well, there's only one m here, nothing to group it with. What about 5 minus 14?
5 plus 14.
That would be.
Well, it doesn't say 5 plus 14.
Oh, no, I'm-
So is 5 positive or negative?
Nine.
Positive.
9.
Is 14 positive or negative? So you got different signs. 5 is positive, 14 is negative. Different sign means subtract. 14 minus 5 is 9. More negatives or more positives. So -9. Okay, so what are we getting rid of? -8 or -9? Are we getting rid of -9? Okay. So we get 20 what?
4.
Okay. So Grayson, you have to tell yourself every calculation. What? And you get it right the second time. All right. And now we're going to get rid of the,
-8.
so what are you getting rid of?
-8.
And so what are you going to do to both sides?
Flip this divide by
Oh, some people already know where this question's going. Yeah, if I divide by a negative, I got to flip the inequality. So the inequality gets flipped. -8's cancel. 24 divided by -8 is. So with a flipped inequality, we get m is smaller than or equal to -3. So closed circle shade. You just pointed left and you said right. Left. You're pointing in the right direction, or correct, I should say. But you did say right. It is left. Questions? All right. Do these two, please. Box, what is it, 2?
Yeah.
Box 2. Do those two, please.
I
Okay, you can make it? Did? Well, 1 out of 4 isn't bad. I just saw nothing. Open.
This might have been Kai. I'm the one closest to it. It's not much later.
Sorry,
Maybe comes part of the measure. Maybe 2 times 4 is measure. See that? -2. Oh, there is. Okay, I would just put mine. I would put plus. I mean, it's not wrong to say plus minus.
Don't save it.
One sign.
Don't save it.
Okay, now what? So we get 2 minus 2x. Time. Very quiet, JJ. You sick?
Yeah.
It's up. More negative positives.
My bag.
What's up?
Yeah.
Negative times a positive is a negative.
I did my math.
And then I would do the 10.
I did all of it. I just left it all.
10 minus 8.
Yeah,
Because it's all on the left side. So you can do 10 minus 8. Which is 2 minus 2x is greater than 22. All right, a couple different ways we could do this. First thing, though, we have to do is determine every person that called me over had this mistake. They did the -2 times that, and this is so common. -2 times x, they're like, yep, I got it, it's negative, and then, I don't know, they stop thinking or whatever. They do -2, and then all of a sudden they think that, you know, this is, I don't know what they're thinking, right? -2 times 4 is not +8, but -8, okay? Some people look at this and they say to themselves, well, let's get rid of the 8 and let's get rid of the 10. Other people say, let's group the 10 and the 8 together, which they're on the same side, you can do that. I mean, it wouldn't be wrong to say, let's add 8 to both sides and then subtract 10, but you're doing like 2 steps instead of just doing it at 1. 10 minus 8 is +2. So I get -2 plus 2 is greater than 22. Or if you wrote 2 minus 2x, same deal. I'm going to get rid of this 2, not the one attached to the x, but the one that's sitting there with it says +2. Going to get rid of that one first. Subtract 2 from both sides. That would give me a 20. Everybody okay? Divide both sides by, oh, I'm dividing by -2, so I need to flip the inequality. I divide both sides by 2. I would get -10. With a flipped inequality, so therefore x is less than -10, Open circle, shade left, negative 10.
This is fun to do.
Yeah, there is something about this, right? Right. All right, second one, distributed property. That gives me negative 22, the first arrow. That gives me negative 11t. I'm going to stick to grouping. So negative 22 and a positive 4 would give me a negative 18. Different signs, subtract, more negatives than positives. Okay, so negative 18. And I'm going to add 18 to both sides. 18 and 52 would be what, 70? And you get this really ugly answer, but it's okay, right? We divide both sides by negative 11. We got to flip the inequality. We get this horrible, ugly answer. It's okay. Just put that number there and be done with it. This one's shade right. We okay? All right. Now we got to talk about what happens if you have variables on both sides. Notice there's no distributive property yet. No distributive property, but we have variables on both sides. When you have variables on both sides, we get the variables on one side. So if there's no distributive property, then we move. We're going to move either the 3n or the 6n. My recommendation is always move the smaller of the two. If you move the larger of the two, we get a negative. You'll still get the right answer, but then we got to deal with a negative. So I'm going to always recommend to move the smaller of the two. To get rid of the smaller, 3n, we subtract 3n. If 3n was negative, we would add 3n. If 3n is positive, we're going to subtract 3n. 3n is positive, we subtract 3n. Did I just multiply or divide by a negative number? So I don't flip the inequality yet. Okay? Well, I don't know if I will on this one. Well, actually, I do know, but you don't worry about it until you get to the multiplication division step. The 3n's go away. 6n minus 3n is 3n. Now it's a two-step inequality. Solve the same way. Add 1 to both sides. Divide by 3. I'm not dividing by a negative, so I don't flip the inequality. So we get n is greater than 3. Who was the kid last? Oh, that was Kai. You're taking over Kai's spot. That's Kai's job. Kai is the one that says the wrong answer as the first one, and the right answer is the second one.
I should.
All right. So n is greater than 3. So open circle 3, shade right. Is that too fast or okay? All right. Let's see that again. Variables on both sides. I got a 3b and a negative 2b. My recommendation is you get rid of the smaller of the two. Negative 2 is smaller than positive 3. So to get rid of minus 2b, we don't multiply or divide, we add 2b. Okay, when you're moving variables, you're either adding or subtracting. No division, no multiplication. Well, negative 2, positive 2 go away. 3 plus 2 is 5b. Two-step inequality. Subtract 12 from both sides. 15. Stop me if I'm going too fast. Divide both sides by 5. I'm not dividing by negative, so I don't need to flip the inequality. 5 cancel. We're left with 3.
Excuse me?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you send Caden for dismissal?
He's on his way.
Thanks.
Divide both sides by 5, and we get b is greater than 3. Open circle 3, shade right. All right, box 3, please. Box 3. Box 3. Get some of these done, please. Some of these are definitely these aren't too bad. Well, sometimes when it's just you alone with the math, it becomes a little bit more challenging, and that's why I try to give you a script to say to yourself to help you solve these things.
Dude, what am I doing? I lost my eraser.
Well, hopefully not language arts.
No, I'm doing 3. I did 3 plus 3 is 3. Oh no, I did 3 plus.
So what are you doing on both sides? First step? Yeah, I agree. But put the X's underneath the X's.
Oh. No, I was doing 3 plus negative 3. 3 plus negative 3.
Yeah, but agree. But it's not 3. It's X. It's you're gonna add 3x to both sides.
Just realize.
Just. What? So that after you get the x's on one side, then yeah, you're gonna add 3 to both sides. All right, let's see. First one, I got x's on both sides. There's nothing to group together on left or right, right? Unlike the previous one. So I'm going to get rid of the smaller of the two x's. Negative 3x. Brecken, what are we doing? Add 3x to both sides. 17x and 3x is 20x. Then what, Brecken? Both sides. That gives me 30. And then divide by 20. We get another ugly answer, 3/2, right? But it's okay, right? That's the answer. If you forget to reduce the fraction, I'll take a point off. Open circle, I'm sorry, closed circle, shade right. 3/2. Second one. I got a negative and a positive, so clearly the negative is smaller than the positive, so I'm going to add 2x to both sides. 23 and 2 gives me a 25x. Add 17 to both sides. I got opposite signs now. What? Negative 4. 23 plus 2. Opposite signs, negative 21, positive 17. That means subtract. That gives me a 4. There's more negatives than positives. That gives me a negative 4. Now, even though I'm dividing into a negative, that doesn't cause me to flip the inequality. The only time you flip the inequality is when you divide or multiply by a negative. I'm dividing by a positive. The answer is negative. Ugly, ugly, ugly answer. Let's see. Open circle, shade right. Right? Oh, there's my graph way up there. Wonder where I was going to put it. Open circle, shade right. And negative 4/25. Oh, Jace gets a point.
No, I called it.
I've had these slides for a long time.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I bet you
How come,
I
how come I haven't called it?
Got the double J.
I got two. Jackson got one. Jason's one.
All the J's.
No one added up that game up too.
Well, I'm just saying, like, these guys are getting a whole lot of points.
Yeah, and they're on J.
Well, you want to know why? Because how many course 2s am I teaching this year? You're it.
There's no Y. There's no Y in it.
That's J-A-C-E-E, right?
No, it's just J-A-C-E.
Really?
Yes.
I've been spelling your name wrong the whole time. I've been spelling it J-A-Y-C-E.
It's been only J's.
Yeah, that's scary.
Oh.
Okay.
The grades are taking over the
So
world.
if there's a Mongasso one, this I won't put 10 of these on a test, but I will put one. This is as ugly as it gets. This is going to use every step here in red. Got distributive property. I got variables on both sides. Okay, so lots to do. Chances, I don't know how many steps we can count as we do them. Remember I said we will eventually get to a 6-step one? Well, here we go. All right. Distributive property. 3 times x. 3 times 4.
Wow.
Well, all right. Anything to group together on each side?
Oh, yes.
What?
2 to both sides.
No, anything grouped together.
Oh, no.
No. Okay. So I got a negative 2x and a positive 3.
Add 2x to both sides.
So I'm going to add 2x to both sides.
5x plus 12.
Now we subtract 12 from both sides. That gives me 15. So therefore, we're going to divide by positive, so I don't need to flip the inequality. Therefore, x is greater than 3. Let's see. Distributive property is 2 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 5 steps.
3 open circle. Shade right.
If there was something to group together, then we would have had a 6-step one. Yeah. Okay. So in pre-algebra, the answer to that is yes. Next year, because we do so many of these, and now you're becoming an expert at this, right? The answer is no. But she's saying, like, this seems kind of silly. I can add 2x in my head, right? Obviously, for adding 2x, that is easy. I would still recommend you always write it. One, this year you must write it. But even in algebra 1, I'm going to still recommend writing it because especially when the signs are opposite, if you visually are looking at it, my belief is there's less chance of you making a silly mistake. I can't ever get a kid to write this in algebra 1, ever. Like, they'll get to this right here and they'll say, okay, x is greater than 3, and I understand why, right? And I'll you'll never get me pushed back to that. But at the very start, when there's lots of things going on, yeah, it's probably smarter to actually write the steps. Oh, and pre-algebra, yeah, I want you to write all the steps. So open circle 3, shade right. All right, we are now on box 4, the last box of the day. All right, do those, please. These are all 5-step equations right here. We actually, in Algebra 1, we don't get to like 20 steps or something like that.
You do?
No, we don't.
Oh, I thought you had, like,
Do you ever get to 20 steps?
I don't think I've ever done a 20-step.
Maybe.
Let's do it
No,
for
not
the
even in
first one.
calculus. In geometry, absolutely 20 steps. Absolutely. Not solving an equation, but doing a problem 20 steps many times, frequently. I mean, you fill up the paper with one problem.
So we do like 1 through 3.
Uh,
Right? For the-
College calculus, yeah, you get to where you fill up pages full of calculations. I don't think I've ever gone past 2. Science, absolutely. But in math, I don't think I've ever done past 2. Geometry, frequently, but not in any algebra-based course or calculus-based course.
Oh, we're doing that. What's -3 minus 9?
Negative 12.
I have to do math and science all the way up.
Yeah, all of us do.
Like for college, like where I want to do,
What do you want to do?
I want to do prosthetics.
Prosthetics, yeah. You're going to have to do lots of math and science. That's engineering is what it really is.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to be an aeronautics engineer.
You have a lifetime involved in
I want to be a
math and
pilot.
science. Pilots use math all the time. All
My
the time.
dad and my brother are both pilots.
Nice. Yes, I got my pilot's license in my 20s, and then it was too expensive and I stopped flying. Yeah.
What's a
A lawyer should know statistics, right? Now, if it was something specialty, like if you were a lawyer that did, I don't know, auto crashes, right? You sued insurance companies, that sort of thing. You might hire someone to do the math for you, right? For the physics of, what happened, what was the speed of the car and during the collision. I bet there are some lawyers that can do the math themselves, probably very rare. However, statistics is something to make arguments. We use statistics all the time. It's something that's used all the time. We will actually offer at this school for senior year, we'll offer statistics to be your choice of whether you want to take statistics or calculus or pre-calc. Yeah.
I have my young schools.
You have what?
I have my young schools.
Is that Civil Air Patrol or something?
It's so if you've flown a plane before, which I did last 2 summers ago
Mhm.
with one of my grandma's friends, you get a Young Eagle certificate, and it gives a bunch of opportunities, white classes.
You can start working on your license right now.
I know.
If you wanted to.
I'm gonna try to get it by the time.
Nice. 'Cause I believe, I'm not 100% sure, I believe 16, you can get your pilot's license.
My brother has his private pilot's license, and my dad flies for Delta.
Yeah,
And he flew in imagine Jackson as an ostrich. You look like an ostrich with a mask. It's the mask.
He looks like a what? What?
It's the mask. Like they'll wear the
There's
mask.
some, I want to say it's on Discovery Channel. It's like they were showing an ostrich beating somebody up. I didn't even know that was possible.
Okay, okay, it's the certain faces Jackson makes that would make him look like.
How would you, do you have a pet ostrich? And what's the difference between an ostrich and an emu? Are they
You're in
the
my
same
phone as
animal?
ostrich. You are in my phone as ostrich.
All right, back up here, please. Okay, so on the first one here on the left, we're distributing -3. Now, even though we're multiplying by -3, we're not multiplying both sides, so I don't have to flip the inequality yet. Just because you're doing the distributive property with a -3, I don't have to flip the inequality yet. Okay? The smaller of the two is -4, not -3. -4 is smaller than -3, so I'm going to add 4x to both sides. You can see I got a positive for the variable. That's why we moved the smaller of the two. if we move the larger -3, if we added 3x both sides, we'd still have a negative over here. Okay? Subtract 9 from both sides, you get -4. So open circle, -4, shade right. First one.
You told me.
You told me, what is -3 minus 9? I said -12. That was what you asked me. Okay.
-3 minus
I don't know why you asked me that, but I told you the correct answer for the question you asked. All right. Second one. This time we're not distributing a negative, we're distributing a +3. So we get 6 plus 3t. Let's see. -2t is the smaller of the two, so we add 2t to both sides. We get 5t. 2t and 3t is 5t. Subtract 6 from both sides. I get a 9. Ugly math. Divide by 5, and we get 9/5. Yes? Okay. Closed circle, shade left.
That's cool. I got it right. I guessed.
Well, guessing is not a good way to go through life, but
Oh, no, I'm just
it might get you through some tests.
I'm
Abby,
just guessing.
So when we write this on the homework, we put on like the one and stuff. We want to write like 9/5, like when we wrote it.
the only way I wrote it this way is because this red was right here, and I couldn't physically fit it in there. I had to write it some. I don't want you to write your fractions like this. The only time I would ever do that is if I ran out of space, which I did. Write it with a horizontal fraction mark.
Wait, go back.
All right. Any questions on? Hey guys, stop. Any questions on anything we just did today? That was a lot of stuff. Genevieve.
Wait, what do you do with this? Variable.
Are you saying something like, what do you get if you get 0 on one side?
No, I'm just
Give me an example.
like x is less than 1 plus 2, I guess.
1 plus 2, then you can group the 1 and the 2 together.
No, and then like u, and then there's another variable.
Oh, gotcha.
I guess you have to.
Gotcha. And then there was like a 4x right here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to group the 1 and the 2 together first. That gives me 3. So I get x is less than 3 plus 4x. Yeah? Then I'm going to move the smaller of the two, which is x, so minus x both sides. I will get a 0. X minus x is 0. 0 is okay. Don't worry, it's not going to stay 0. And I got 3 plus 2x. Why? I'm sorry, 3x. 4 minus 1x is 3x. Subtract 3 from both sides, -3, divide by 3. You get x is greater than -1. So open circle, -1, shade right.
You did a lot of stuff today.
All right, that'll conclude.
Did you get the PlayStation 5 now?
No, but yesterday at 1 o'clock something, my wife said, because she leaves her phone on like her home email, and it was like, you got an email from Gamefly saying if you order right now in the next like 10 minutes, you can get a PlayStation. And my wife was like, well, I was gonna call you. Was that important? I was like, yeah. So by the time I got home and my wife had told me about this email, they were all sold out again. So
Yesterday at 1.
yesterday at like 1:05 something, Gamefly said because you're a Gamefly member, we will, if you want to buy a PlayStation, we'll let you, because you've been a member for so long, buy one. I don't know how many they had, but by the time I got home at 4 or 5 o'clock, there were no PlayStations left. So I was very
So if you were doing class and she called you about that,
I would have said, all right, guys, do these 26 problems, and I would have run downstairs and I would have bought one.
You can just do it up here on your computer. Like, here, just do this. Do the homework.
Yeah, I could. All right, e-learners, any questions? Nothing? All right.
see you.
Good luck on your homework. Email me if you have any questions.